All right, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Hope you all enjoyed the weekend. It was good for guys to get a few days away. We thought we had a really good bye week, and the work that they were able to pour in. We practiced Tuesday, Wednesday. Had a workout on Thursday. Really a big focus on ourselves, continuing to work the details. Fundamentals, communication. You still, even though we have a couple of games under our belt, the realization and just the awareness of how many, how new this team is. And I say that with the new players that you are working in different roles, the true freshmen that are emerging and playing, guys that are elevating through their own progression. But seeing an offense, defense, special teams, that every rep every day is important, and being able to continue to challenge each other. I thought we got great competitive work last week. We tried to make it very difficult. We tried to create and implement crowd noise and just different dynamics to see these guys have to adapt and adjust. But just to see the continuity of this group continue to grow, and I think that they've embraced that. They've done a nice job of what they're doing in the meeting rooms, of how they're transitioning out of the field. But we have a great journey ahead of us, and every day matters. The competition of each day is critical, and it truly is focused on us. And we've said that even with our past two opponents, and it was probably a great time for a bye week to be able to live that out. Now we transition back into game week, and there's a lot of excitement. I thought we had a good practice yesterday with guys. You could see the bounce in their legs, having an extra day off in there, and excitement to be able to go and compete. Going into this week, and it's gonna be a great great atmosphere. Sold out crowd, family weekend. It's a great weekend here in Tallahassee, and we've got an opportunity for this team to go take a step and go get better. So I thought it was a good time for us. We've got some guys that are working to get themselves back and available. We still have a couple guys that might be just a little bit of time left in front of them. But I feel good about where we are from a health standpoint, and we'll continue to push forward into this week.
All right, first question will be Brendan over here on your left.
With this time to kind of have reflection on the first few weeks of the season and now kind of see those data points, what have you learned about this group, or maybe what's even been, I guess, a pleasant surprise to you so far?
Well, I think a surprise. I had a lot of expectation coming in. There's some unknowns coming in too, just to what when everything was live and in a game situation, and all the emotions and the back and forth, how guys were going to respond. I was confident in the fight. I was confident in the competitiveness. I was confident in the ability. But seeing them be able to be present in the moment and to apply a lot of the lessons and the schemes and the things that we've talked about, to see them present and execute there. I've been pleased with what I've seen, and I know after each game we've come in here and we talked about needing to be better, but there's been quality work that's gone into it to put us in this position. The urgency for growth is absolutely there, but that's the thing that I would sit back and say you see a team that really has gelled well together. I think they see the potential. They know the steps that are a necessity for us to become what we're capable of, but they also understand the urgency too. So it's been all those things I've enjoyed watching and kind of being a part of, just seeing on in all three phases of the game, and so I'm excited to see that continue to transpire.
All right, next will be Ira.
During a bye weekend, when you give them a little bit of time, do you encourage guys to come in on their own and watch film and things like that, or do you want them to take a break? Or
No, there's part of it that sometimes rest is work, and this is a group that likes to work. I think they really do embrace that, and so there's times that you got to challenge them that, hey, this time of rest, take a deep breath, and I went in yesterday and asked how many of them spent time watching at least one other college football game throughout the weekend, and every hand goes up, and that's good. So guys actually enjoy watching and seeing others' experiences. That when you do get some downtime, and we try to be very structured on what we do, what we're watching, the things that we want to continue to progress with, but also. We got great work in this past week, and I wanted them to have a couple of days where it was low impact, kind of low key. I figured they would watch some football and see some situations and things that we work, things that we talk about. Having those things need to be applied through a variety of college games, and so I think that is also important. It's the same for coaches. I mean, it was great to be able to get on. I was on the road Thursday, Friday. Get to watch a lot of really good recruits, and to be able to go to different schools, and you'll be out. And then Saturday was a good day for the coaching staff to even just be able to watch, reflect, and be able to continue to plan what's necessary for this team as we move forward. So I thought it came at a good time just for this team and where we are, and excited for what we'll be able to do from it.
I'll come back to Brendan.
And 2 for 1 on Mandrill this year. I guess the first one would be, like, when you were evaluating him, recruiting him, what did you see in terms of his upside, his potential? Has he reached some of that? Is the second question. Has he reached some of that maybe earlier than expected?
Yeah. So watching Mandrill specifically, you have the 2 brothers, and so trying to compare the similarities, but also the differences in the game. And what I loved about Mandrill was just his versatility across the defensive front. And he's somebody that we saw and did believe that he could have a presence on the edge in different packages, but he was going to be a guy that felt very comfortable and was very active when he was on the interior. And I think that's something that showed up, that it hasn't mattered who he's playing against, where he's playing, how far along in the journey is. I mean, he's got a huge upside when you look at the continued development of what him and Daryl both will be able to do physically as they continue to grow and progress. But I would say that's something you really won't know until somebody gets here, is just how are they going to transition against bigger, stronger, faster, and very active, but really very comfortable in high speed, high reaction situations, and that's something that has allowed him to be able to have early success. And obviously the style of play is something that suits this defense really well, and but he still has that versatility in all the places where he can align.
We good?
I mean,
I reckon he's got he wants multiple 3-for-1s.
You mentioned you were on the road Thursday, Friday. I know other members of the staff were as well. Just what was the reception, and what has it been like a 2-0 start dealing with recruits that maybe you're circling back on?
Yeah, no, I think it's there's been a lot of eyes on Florida State, and you feel that coaches, when the different the responses, the communication, from guys that when you have new coordinators, maybe some different elements in scheme, you could talk about what it's going to look like, but they want to see it in action too. And we've had a lot of confidence throughout this last spring, summer, big expectations within this building of what that would be. And when you share that, talk about that with guys that you are projecting to what they can be within this program, it's always good to see that start to continue to unfold, and to get out and watch games, to see guys that some that are committed to us, some that we're continuing to evaluate, and then obviously for the future classes. I mean, you can feel the excitement about what they've seen from us, and I'm excited about the things that I've seen from them. And so I think it's I like where we are here at this time in the 26th class of the potential of things continuing to move forward, but then also for the future classes, they're getting a great sense of what the schematic inside the ball, looks like, but, also just a reminder of what Florida State's all about.
Peter?
Coach, with the QB2, with Kevin Sperry and Brooklyn, like we saw Sperry relief for Tommy last week. What's going to be like the puzzle change? It's going to be more like a flip flop thing. Like what's going to be like the decision making when you for the Kent State game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really pleased with what Kevin's done in preparing himself, and obviously he was ready when his number was called. As I mentioned last week, Brock's been dealing with a few just nagging injuries that have kind of kept him from different elements of practice, and you probably the number of opportunities that he would like that to be able to go out there and continue to showcase all areas that he's feeling better. I think the bye week was good for him. He got his he got some opportunities as well, and did a great job with those opportunities. So I'm feeling really good about that quarterback room, and as those guys continue to go and compete every day, continue to push Tommy, to see that see all of them work together. It's definitely was exciting for me to see one a true freshman, and then obviously with Brock not getting as many reps throughout fall camp, still prepared and ready to go execute in the moment. And so I thought both those guys did a great job with that.
I'll go back over to Ira.
What do you think it could do for Luce to get those carries he's been getting, just to kind of not just see what he does in practice and how to improve it, see it in game action and watch the film?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge. Every rep is going to be big for him, and it's just the speed of the game, all things that he's being asked to do. I mean, he is. He's got a lot of perfectionist in him, where he wants it to look a certain way, he wants to be right, he wants to be on step 10, and right now he's still working in 2, 3, and working himself up. But I mean, he's really talented, and you kick off the season versus Alabama, and I think his first or second carry, he's got 5 guys bouncing off of him and pushing everything forward. Like that's a good confidence booster, and for him now it's just it's the steps along the way. It's making sure that we're detailed in our footwork, make sure our eyes are in the right place, continuing to emphasize the tracks, protections, obviously showcased his ability to catch the ball in the backfield with a long touchdown the other day. He's going to continue to grow and emerge in all areas, and he's in with a great group of guys that complement him, and he complements them just within skill set. But yeah, every rep that he gets is a great push for him moving forward, and it's the good and the bad, because there have been some mistakes that have been made. There's things that he's got to improve upon, and I mean he understands that. But his hunger and desire to get that right and to go put it on display is at an elite level. And when you have guys with that type of work ethic and that kind of investment, even with having early success, I mean it's a real positive trait.
All right, well,
Coach, asking knowing that future scheduling is really, really tough to find the right opponent to line everything up, but now that the ACC shares financially based on ratings, and these future games are very important financially, how do you attack future scheduling as far as finding that right opponent, finding somebody that just lines up a big type of eyeball game for Florida State?
Well, I mean, that's what we do. I mean, we're going to play an aggressive schedule. We want those showcase games. Obviously, one of our out of conference games is one of the best rivalry games in the game in college football. I mean, you just look at over the last however many years. I mean, we're going to either kick off versus a great team or a great brand program, and we want it to be extremely competitive, because those are games that obviously are wonderful to the eyes, and you see just when Florida State's a part of those games. I mean, just the numbers that those games attract, and the competitiveness and the excitement of what those games are. I mean, I think it's good for the sport. But we're gonna stay aggressive with it. I know there's always the different dynamics of scheduling and conversations of could it do this and could it do that. Ultimately we got to control what we can control in the process of it. But just also knowing that we want to have those showcase games, and I think we've done a great job with those and capitalizing on the opportunities there.
Liam.
Coach, with Micahi, when you guys made the switch from running back to receiver, I'm sure you expected kind of a transitional period, but what he's done through 2 weeks, has he lived up to what you expected he could be? What do you want him to work on, and just the confidence that he's playing with right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's, you know, we have a lot of belief in him. You know, I think there's kind of two part of it. You know, we never would have moved him if we didn't believe in what it could be. And you know, he's somebody that's got great ball skills. You know, he's got great speed. You know, I think that you see that he's strong with the ball in his hands, and you know, he can change direction and be able to be a dynamic threat. You know, you also take the fact that, you know, in spring, I mean, he's also the best 400 runner that's ever done it in the ACC. That's a big statement as a freshman. So you couple that there's a time commitment to that, which, you know, I want him to achieve all that he can, as well as, you know, when you're looking at positionally, I mean, I think it's a natural fit for him there at receiver, but also within this offense, all the things that we can do, you know, getting the ball in a variety of different ways to him. But you know, his growth as a receiver, you know, the vertical threat that he can be, you know, you're starting to see even in the last couple of games where, I mean, the more plays that he's getting without the ball in his hands, you know, is something that I'm excited about his growth and improvement. And you know, I do think that he's got a great future in front of him, and you know, we're going to continue to push him just to grow in that confidence, because you know, you take out, you know, your spring practice, you know, really for him, I mean, he had some, but it was, I mean, limited. But you know, he's making huge strides throughout this early part of the season.
We'll come back to Brendan.
So, a multi-layered question. With the coaching landscape, just college football changing so quickly. I mean, there's two coaches fired this week. One, how does that change how you guys, if at all, go about like pre-scouting process, transfer? With the guys players can enter transfer portal 2 weeks into the season back. And then second, I'm sure Tony's name's going to come up for the UCLA job, just in terms of reports and whatnot with his ties. Like, how do you talk to someone about career aspirations and expectations, and how you can help them achieve something like that?
Yeah, so that's a
I
big 2 for 1
more
right
than
there.
multi. I told you it was multi-layered.
Yeah, there's a lot of levels to the layers. You know, the first part of it, yeah, I mean, college football it is changing. Like, and it's been over the last 3-4 years. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely early in the season to see some of those changes, but to be honest, it's not shocking to just with all the dynamics, you know, where signing day is, you know, just you know, some of the different aspects of what teams and programs, you know, what they choose to do. But yeah, I mean, it starts, you know, it's immediate. You know, once there's been a staff change, you know, you don't know what's going to happen, but if something does happen, you want to have a pretty good awareness of, you know, if this player decides to go in the portal, then is that somebody we'd be interested in potentially looking at, you know, or not? So I mean, you would start that very early, you know, in you know, once those changes are made, and some of the kids won't go in the portal. That's fine, but you have to be prepared for any of the things that could, just in guidance, direction. You know, we have a pretty good sense of, you know, this team and what it will look like here this next year, but there's still going to be guys that play themselves into new opportunities. Some guys that definitely play themselves into you know, early opportunities in the National Football League, and so you kind of have to have that thought of the high school aspect of it, the transfer, you know, component of it, and just make sure that you're prepared and done a thorough job in evaluation as it goes with that. And then when it comes to, you know, staff advancement, you know, guys, you know, with you know, potential opportunities, you know, as well as when, you know, those opportunities are you know, or then become decisions that they need to make. I mean, I'm here to support them, and you know, I'm not never been, you know, a head coach that, you know, tries to talk down, you know, any other, you know, things that are out there for guys. You know, I want them to do the absolute best job that they can do in our time that we get to be together. And you know, they've got a responsibility to this place. They got a responsibility to the players, but you know, also have a responsibility to themselves. And you know, I want coaches that desire for all, and you know, same thing that I want for our players. And so, and part of, with guys coming here, I want to say, you know, I want to be a part of their growth. I want to be a part of their you know, improvement, of their, you know, enjoyment of what this profession is, and you know, how we get to do it. And so I'm here to support all of our staff in that, and when you do a good job, there's always going to be your name's going to be out there. There's going to be rumors of what's this, what's that, and at the end of the day, it's still about what you ultimately desire and want to do, and then making sure that you find the best fit if it is to do something different. And we've had a lot of coaches throughout the years that they've had great opportunities when it comes to the place, or sometimes even the finances of things that are out there, but it was the best fit for them to be with us and to continue on in their growth. And sometimes the things that were said no to early open up to greater opportunities and there in the future. And so it's always an everflow of that for a coach, for a player. It's the same thing we talk to guys about in recruiting. We're all looking for the best fit, and as they go through the process, the journey, and you find that best fit, and where your heart leads you, and where what is that opportunity for you to go and continue to grow to be the best you can, then you'll make great decisions. But I want to push all of our coaches to aspire for growth, and hopefully that they all get opportunities in the future that they then get to choose.
All right, we'll end with Ira.
Two totally unrelated questions.
Awesome.
First one is Kent State had looks like a pretty competitive game this past weekend. What have you seen from them?
No, I mean, I thought this last week, and they've had a little bit, obviously a challenging offseason. They've interim head coach, I think, is doing a remarkable job. They started off getting a close win to start the season. They went on the road, to a top 20, top 15, program. There at Texas Tech, and then this last week, playing against a really good Buffalo squad, which Pete Lumbo, the head coach there, worked with us there at Memphis. I got a lot of respect for Pete, and other number of guys on the staff that we know. That one defense coordinator, Joe, worked here, and so when you see them and the way that they approached that game, and the improvement that they made coming off of the Texas Tech to the Buffalo game, creating takeaways, explosive plays, you see them utilizing their personnel in a variety of different ways. I mean, it's a team that's getting better, and so came up a little bit short in the game there at the end against Buffalo, but you saw a very competitive matchup and a team that's taking positive steps.
I just want to ask how Ethan's been doing. Any updates there?
Yeah, I actually went by and saw him this morning, and there has been progress. And yesterday, he opened his eyes, and it was something that was emotional for everybody. To be honest with you, and it's still a long part of the progress, in his process moving forward. But it was. It puts all things in perspective. The appreciation of a blink, and he is he's fighting. His family is there, so very supportive. It's there's still some major steps along the way that we're all going to be believing for and supporting and continuing in our prayers. But just grateful for him, grateful for his family, and ultimately, as we go through life, I mean, it is it's so very precious. And I think that even just in our world right now, it is a very challenging time, and I think that we see just so many things around that we do have a responsibility. We're called to, on this earth to love one another, and there's going to be plenty of differences and plenty of things that we all have, but to be able to, and it's a challenge to me, and it's a challenge to everybody that I think's out there, is to be the example. We're all going to have our faults, we're all going to have our differences, and all those things, but to truly just love one another, and to be able to work and to be a part of the good that's out there, because there's too many things that are happening that there's just the value of life and just the appreciation of what we get to do here on this earth is it is special, and to be able to be there and to see Ethan and a young man that for all things, like literally was just in the wrong place, the wrong time, a mistaken, situation. But now he's fighting for it every single day, and to be able to see, the work of the medical team, and just the, I came in on Sunday, and it happened yesterday, and I walked in that team meeting, and I had probably one of the biggest smiles on my face, and just to tell them that that he had taken a positive step, and to see their reaction and their love for this young man it's been here for a short period of time, but is a part of their family. And we had Earl here for the last game, and just what he means and what their family means to us, and it's just I think we all have a responsibility to help push and make this world better. And for whatever beliefs, thoughts, experiences that you have to go through, I mean, to be able to lead with love and to be kind and empathetic to others, I think is a big challenge for all of us, but something that we all need to be willing to rise up and be the example for. So I appreciate you asking about Ethan, and we're going to continue to be praying for him and believing for great days ahead.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Coach.